Rachel Isabel Kandawire, and I have the pleasure of moderating today's exciting webinar under the theme Rooted in Water, Innovation and Youth Agripreneurship through Aquaponics. This session is part of our AGRA-supported knowledge management project where we spotlight best practices and innovations. And today we have an innovation that is being led by a youth. This project is being implemented in East and Southern Africa. We are thrilled to have participants joining us from across the region and beyond. This webinar is more than just a presentation. It is a platform to celebrate innovation, amplify youth voices, and inspire practical solutions to agricultural challenges. And specifically today's topic on aquaponics speaks to sustainable, tech-driven approaches to the challenges in food systems agriculture, and showcasing or spotlighting a growing area where young and leading youth can take charge in. We are honored to be joined by our guest speaker, Mr. Luvo Gugwana, who is the founder and the CEO of Green Ag Innovations Private Limited from South Africa. Luvo is a passionate agripreneur, and his work in aquaponics, he is leading work in aquaponics and the aquaculture and horticulture in South Africa. We look forward to hearing his journey and his experience. Just to give you the flow of the session, we'll have Mr. Luvo Gugwana share with us his journey on aquaponics, and then we'll have a question and answer session. Thereafter, we'll have Dr. Mary Jane Chimuka, who is an expert in this field, to share with us how the ecosystem looks like in terms of policies, in terms of opportunities and challenges, and where us as policymakers or technocrats should focus more on. Before we dive in, the session is being recorded. You are also free to use the question and answer box to post your questions. We'll address them during the discussion. And also on the question and answer box, be free to introduce yourself and chat and tell us where you're joining from. Before we dive in, I would like to acknowledge our partners from AGRA who are supporting us in conducting these webinars. We are also joined by members from the EAC, East African Community, and SADC. I would also like to acknowledge the FANAPAN team that is in the room and everyone else. Thank you. Mr. Luvo Gugwana, the floor is yours. Do you want me to share your screen or you share from your side?
I will share on my side.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right.
Sorry, before Luvo starts, those of you that are not Kudakwashes, please change your names to your real names. Change the Kudakwashe name to your real name. Thank you. When you click the name, you right click where your name is, and then it gives you rename, and then you can rename it.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, please. I think your screen, I'm not sure if you really want to share. I think we see the documents, but not the presentation.
Is my screen showing?
Yes, with the different documents.
Yeah, might be my network because I've already projected the screen. Let me stop showing and then start again. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, perfect.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. My name is Luvo Kugwana. Based in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. So I'm the founder of a company called Green Arch Innovations. So our company is vested in agricultural innovation. We're looking at smart agricultural systems, and we're focusing mainly on aquaponic systems. Okay, so trying to move slide. Right, so we started the business back in 2017. It was after my university studies. So when I was at university, one of the key things that I always wanted to do was to bring innovative solution in the agricultural space, because in the communities that we come from, especially the one that I come from, a lot of households, they really depend on agriculture for a livelihood. But however, seeing the difficulties into farming, one being the unreliability of the rainfall and the soil types, and not really having the yields that you'd anticipate after the harvesting season. So when I got into university, one of my key areas was to really see how can we make agriculture more innovative, and how can we develop solutions that can be applicable in many rural communities of South Africa and also in the African context. So in 2017, we sent our proposal to a Ford Motor Company through their CSI, where we proposed to them that we'd really like to explore aquaponic systems for communities. And really at that time, we were quite young and ambitious, thinking that we're trying to provide a solution that would not only be applicable in South African context, but in a global context. And it is within this year that Ford gave us a startup capital to start to do our pilot project. We did our pilot project in Nutsbeck in KZN, where it was a very small aquaponic system that would allow the beneficiary to produce vegetables throughout the year. And this is the picture that we took this is like 7 years ago. So what happened was when Ford came to see the project for audit, they just found these ladies buying from the system. And one of the questions that the PR team from Ford asked was, why are these ladies buying specifically from this site? And the response from the lady was that this site, the system that we've developed, the aquaponics modular system, is the only area where they could buy spinach in winter. So it is this moment where we realize that aquaponics system really does have the potential to empower communities through job creation, food security, and availability of very most important vegetables to our household all year round. So in developing our model, we had to go back into understanding the need for aquaponics in the context of South Africa. One of the things that we realized in the space of agriculture was that the townships and rural communities really, they have a challenge, especially around the extension services, of which where most farmers who are especially practicing conventional or traditional systems, they don't really have the right support that will enable them to thrive in the agricultural sector. And then also, I think many people know that South Africa is a food secure country at a national level, but however, we are food insecure at a household level, which means that either people cannot afford to buy food, or either the food that people have access to non-nutritious, and then also meaning that there are not food sources within the radius of many communities. And then also the last challenge was around the lack of access to modern technology, which would enhance the practice of agriculture. So we developed this aquaponic system on the basis of the problems that we'd identified. And one thing that we realized was that developing aquaponic systems for rural communities will not only create job opportunities, but however, it will open up an avenue for people to learn modern system that adopt technology to produce food. Aquaponic systems can be practiced anywhere. So these are the ideal systems that can be placed in communities that are heavily affected by drought, that can be placed in communities where the soil type doesn't really allow practice of agricultural practices. And then also these systems can be developed and designed based on the context of countries, based on the context of communities. We've developed different aquaponic systems that really speak to the need, that speaks to the nature and the environment where these systems need to be adaptable in. And we design systems from entry level up until to high tech. But what we prioritize at Greenhouse Innovations to make sure the systems are efficient and also they produce quality produce. So in aquaponic systems, there's an aquaculture section, there's an also hydroponics section. So in the aquaculture unit of aquaponics, in our systems that we run in South Africa, we focus mainly on tilapia, catfish, and then in cold areas, we do trout. So aquaponics system is applicable in the African context. We do have intentions to expand our solutions to other African countries, especially those their diet is centered around fish. I mean, there's countries like Kenya where tilapia is being consumed a lot. There's Ghana, there's Nigeria, and Botswana and Zimbabwe where aquaponic systems would be very, very applicable, especially trying to divert people to look into inland aquaponic systems, and then also trying to relieve the oceans and the lakes in terms of being over-harvested. So on that hydroponics unit in aquaponic system, we produce a variety of crops. In aquaponic systems, you can grow leafy vegetables, you can grow fruiting vegetables. But in most contexts, we've realized that many fruiting vegetables perform very well in aquaponic system. So in our systems, we do tomatoes. I did mention in the previous slide that we design our system into the context of communities. So in communities where the community needs tomatoes the most, we will design our system to address that deficit, to address that supply of tomatoes. In many of our systems, we do tomatoes, we do bell peppers, we do cucumbers, and in one systems, we do lettuce. Because what we're trying to do is we want to localize the food sources, we want to reduce food miles, meaning that we want communities to access food within a close radius. So the benefits of aquaponic system. So the benefits of aquaponic system is that when you produce your vegetables, your communities will have access to those vegetables all year round. You can grow crops even if they're out of season, but because you're using an advanced farming method, which is an aquaponic system, it really, really allows you to grow your vegetables even if they're out of season. In that way, you address the food scarcity gap, and then also you allow people to enjoy the staple food that they would like to enjoy throughout the year. And also in aquaponic system, it's a water saving mechanism. The one you use the same water in a closed loop system because your water doesn't really get saturated on the ground, running a closed loop circulating system where your water moves from your fish and then it goes back to your crops. In one of our systems, we're running 40,000 liters of water all year round, only accounting 5 to 10% to evaporation. So which means that this is a very water efficient system that many communities, many African countries can really adopt. It won't only it's not only environmental friendly, but also it addresses a lot of areas around food security because it allows people to produce food all year round and have the benefit of producing both the fish and the vegetables at the same time. So in terms of our approach, how we work as a company, so we developed systems and adopting different models. So one of the models that we work with, the approach is that we work with the different partners, especially that finance the projects that we developed in communities, because we've designed a unique model, franchise model, where we develop these systems for different communities and have a platform where we aggregate the produce that is supplied to the market. In that way, we're creating volume for supply to the markets by splitting these projects into different communities while creating jobs and addressing food security for the same communities. So how we work is we always find partners that we can work with to finance the project, and this is followed by setting up the system into the respective communities. And we make sure that when we design these systems for these communities, we provide a comprehensive capacity building and training model. So we often train beneficiaries for 3 months up until to 12 months to understand the concept of aquaponics system. And then also with all the projects and beneficiaries that we work with, we don't exit the project. We always provide troubleshooting support, being deploying our team to the ground to assist the various projects and aquaponics system that we run in the country. And also this is followed by the sales of both the fish and the crops that we produce in the system. So our model is quite easy from the financing point of view on designing the system, training and capacity development for the beneficiaries, and then it's followed by the production. And also the last avenue is to sell the produce into various markets, of which we have different partners where we sell the produce to. This is not limited from restaurants, retail stores, and then also directly to the households. So in terms of how the innovation works, so this is our modular system. So we've designed a system which is a 10 by 30 greenhouse system, which is our ideal smallest system that we've designed. This allows people to grow 4,000 units of fish in the system. It allows you to grow also 1,000 plants in the system. So in many of our systems, we've integrated IoT, which means that we're able to collect data across the different systems that we've designed in South Africa. So we know the temperature from each system, we know the pH readings from each system. So this also helps us to be able to provide assistance to our beneficiaries that we work with. And we're currently developing a marketplace. So this will not only allow us to expand our market reach for the products, but also it will make sure that we attract different clientele into our market platform where they can source different produce that we have in our system. In this way, we'd have a consolidated model where we're not only designing systems and training people, but we're opening up markets where the beneficiaries of the projects can really get the premium value from their products. So in terms of the business model, so we designed the system for beneficiaries, and the output of that would be the produce, which goes to our marketplace, and which also goes to our retail partners. So in our system, revenue mostly it comes from both selling the fish and the vegetables, but also depending on the species that is being cultured in the system, that really plays in terms of how's the return on investment looks like, because other fish they have a higher retail price than the others. For example, in South Africa, trout is a market value that is higher than tilapia. However, if you're doing tilapia, it's going to be more on volume base for you to get your ROI into it. So in terms of our project impact, so we have systems that we've developed. We are currently running 4 systems in KZN. We recently launched a system in Eastern Cape, which was in partnership with Engine Petroleum. So that system was for a school. So we currently have a pipeline where we want to develop more aquaponics systems for school. And ideally, this will expand the reach of aquaponics system in terms of education. But however, this is an important element in terms of using the available land within schools to create job opportunities and also to create systems that will produce food that is at the standard of the market. So also we've trained young people into the space. We've trained over 300 young people in aquaponics. Currently in our database, we have 200 farmers that are keen to adopt aquaponics. But all those farmers that are in our database, they've been through our short courses, others already beneficiaries of having physical systems that we've developed. And in running these systems, we've realized also a revenue of over 2.5 million. And then also having to put in investment back into the business of around 1.5 million. So in terms of our community development initiatives, so we run a lot of aquaponics trainings in collaboration with different stakeholders. So we do go to different communities and we spoke about designing systems for the context of communities and countries. It means that we need to be adaptive. So when you roll out these systems, we roll out these systems at the comfort of these communities by utilizing their community halls, working with different stakeholders to bring in these trainings. So in this way, we're expanding the knowledge and understanding of how aquaponics can improve communities. And then also we have developed these systems in different communities where aquaponics is being used for communities to benefit from fresh distribution of vegetables and fish. And also created local employment opportunities. And also we have supplied different markets from these respective projects. So in terms of our success stories, we've mentioned that we've trained over 300 young people and in aquaponics training, and also we've managed to raise a capital through different fundraising mechanisms, and that has been injected back into the business in terms of developing more systems and infrastructure that can support our different franchise systems. And our projects have impacted over 445,000 households across the country. And we've been featured in a few media outlets and agricultural magazine. And this is an achievement because it has given us a footprint and a coverage in the country. It has increased our clientele, and as well as it has attracted different stakeholders that have worked with us to expand our impact. So in terms of our strategic goals, we really want to expand our initiatives outside the country. Hence, we've consolidated the footprint in the country. We want to find stakeholders in countries like Kenya, countries like Botswana, Nigeria, Zambia, because this system can be more applicable because already there's a base of people eating a lot of fish, and this will make these systems more applicable, and it will bring in a benefit that people will not only grow fish, but also they'll be growing vegetables within the system. And also this allows the water bodies to be relieved from overfishing, and it will allow a more controlled environmental sustainable fishing by adopting these inland aquaponic systems, aquaculture systems. So there is a potential in the African context in terms of building up these systems, because there's already a culture of fish, and also there's already existing markets. This would be an opportunity and an add-on to allow the existing farmers to benefit from not only selling fish, but by selling fish and crops as well. So in terms of our biggest clientele in South Africa, we work with Rio Tinto through their CSI to develop aquaponic systems for their communities. The systems are still operational, and they're growing vegetables and fish, and we have empowered local people to run the systems. And one of the sponsors as well, we're the engine to design aquaponic systems for schools, and we have a pipeline in the program to expand these systems. And also looking at the benefits of doing these systems either for schools and communities, is that for communities, you address the issue of food insecurity, you address the issue of unemployment, because what we do is when we develop this system for communities, we provide comprehensive training, and also we have accredited trainings. It means the people that we train are able to work for us and run the system in different communities to provide troubleshooting. And also for the beneficiaries, it creates an income generating opportunity for them from selling both the fish and the crops to our markets. And also in terms of community engagement, we've seen a lot of community cohesion by running the systems, because we're bringing a system that most communities didn't even know it exists. But our model to bring these systems to rural communities, it yields impact, because we need more agriculture that is adaptable, agriculture that speaks to climate change, agriculture that speaks to sustainability, because this is where the world is moving towards. So in terms of challenges, there's quite a lot of challenges within the aquaponics sector, aquaculture sector. I think one of the key challenges is the fragmented departments. When I'm saying fragmented departments, is that you realize that you get your water use license from a different department, you get your fishing permit or culturing fish permit from a different department, and you realize the same departments that is supposed to support. Sometimes there's a gap, there's a discrepancy there in terms of knowing where can you get these compliances from. So which is one of the biggest problems, because it delays the progression and the start of the project, because the departments are fragmented. If they were consolidated, it was going to be easy to send through an application that will tick all the compliances and be able to start the project easily. Just to mention, for example, in KZN, there's different species that we can grow, although it's not on the existing natural water bodies. It's an indoor system, but there are those regulations that are really hindering the growth of the industry in that context. And then also we speak about input supply. It's one of the biggest challenges, the sourcing of fingerlings. I mean, one of our systems is in Eastern Cape, but you get fingerlings in Agripreneurship, which is 10 hours away from Eastern Cape. I mean, if you really want to have a sustainable industry, it's ideal to develop an input industry that will support the development of aquaponics in respective countries, not only in South Africa, because this is a common trait in many countries in terms of the sourcing of fingerlings, especially quality fingerlings. And another challenge that we face is the skills deficit. There's a lot of skills gap in aquaponics. There are very few expertise around the area, and we've done this to try to close the gap by collaborating with universities, trying to place students on our sites as well to just have hands-on practical learning around the aquaponics systems. And then also capital, because studying aquaponics systems is capital intensive. However, we find different ways of how we can have entry-level aquaponics systems that are yet efficient and profitable. So in terms of where we envisage to go, we're really calling an opportunity for collaboration. We work with different sponsors to bring our initiative to communities. We have partners that really helped us to expand our footprint in different communities, and also to consolidate our model in terms of technology intake, and then also in terms of compliance point of view. Thank you very much. That was the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Luvo. That was an inspiring and insightful presentation. You have shown us aquaponics isn't just about growing food. It's also about reimagining how we connect systems for food security, from smart temperature monitoring technologies to training people and skills development, and also connecting with the communities. We are able to see that it's a technology that has the potential in driving sustainable youth-led solutions in agriculture. So we'll now open the floor for questions and answers session. So for the people in the audience, please feel free to raise your hand, but you can also write your questions in the chat box. Thank you. I've seen so many interesting people asking for your contacts. Kudakwache, please go ahead. Yes, Kuda, go ahead. I think you're muted.
Okay, I think there are so many Kuda questions here.
Yes, but I don't know
Some
which
are
one.
using my name.
Yeah, there is a Kuda Kwashe that raised his hand. If not, Dr. Judith Marina Story, please go ahead. I see a hand from you.
Yes, good morning. Thank you. It's Marina Story here. I'm from Global Water Partnership. I just want to say what an excellent motivation you have just given us. Well done. Please do stay in touch. My question is about how did you go about as a young entrepreneur mobilizing funding with big organizations such as Engine, and how did you make that first leap of faith? If you can maybe highlight that to us. Thank you.
There is also a question from Aki Mwape. Maybe we can take 3 questions and then you respond to those. There is a question from Aki Mwape, is asking what is the initial capital investment for a basic unit? And I also see a hand from Josephat Tanga. Yes, please go ahead, Josephat.
Thank you very much. We are here in Zimbabwe. This is a great a project. I think we can partner together. What I can want to hear is about, is there any market for the fish? So that if you produce for the young people from Zimbabwe, then you can supply it a major field. Thank you.
Thank you. I think maybe you can take those questions, Luvo, for now.
Okay. So am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry,
Yes, we can hear you.
my connection got disrupted. I think I might have missed a couple of few of those questions. I only reconnected just now. Can perhaps one of the questions be repeated for me?
There is a question on what was your initial capital, and then also Joseph Tanga. Perhaps you can repeat. I also didn't get it very well. He is based in Zimbabwe, but he is. Yeah, maybe Joseph, you can ask the question again.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'm just asking about the market. If the young people from Zimbabwe produce, is there any great market? What's market is also the challenge, and also the issue of capital and startup. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that question. So in terms of the markets, so there is open markets that we sell our produce to. So one of the example is that looking at the tilapia, so we only prioritize working with restaurants, so we sell directly to restaurants. And the reason we're doing that is because there you get a better margin than selling to retails. So that's one way you're working around the market. And then also because we're developing an online marketplace that allows us to sell directly to households. So currently developing a subscription model for households where we'll be delivering fresh produce directly to the households. And as well, we're doing that because we supply different markets, and then we understand the different margins that you could get from selling to different markets. Selling to a retailer and then selling to a restaurant and selling to a household, there you have different margins. What we've done in terms of segmenting those margins is that depending on the crops that you grow, you tend to get a premium by segmenting your markets based on what you supplied them. So, for example, our tomatoes are always sold out directly to the households. Because households use tomatoes every day. We don't sell our tomatoes to the retails. We sell them directly to the households. Like cucumber, we sell them to the retails because that's where most clientele gets the cucumbers from. And looking at lettuce as well, we sell our lettuce directly to hotels and restaurants. So in terms of the question around how much did we start with, I mean, when we started with that's pilot project that we did with Fort, that was around 80,000 rands, and that was 2017. And we've been able to build our system to be valued in million rands. So really, that's the significance of starting small, because once you start small and understand the system, it's easy to go out and develop more efficient system by placing the systems and also having a strategic growth.
Thank you. There was also a question on the startup capital.
Okay,
And
so
then there is also another question from Dr. Story. She wants to know, what leap of faith did you take? What did it take for you to get to big companies like Engine to support you financially?
yeah, okay, thank you very much for that. This is very, very, very relevant question. I think I was asked the same question just 2 days back when we were speaking at the NECTAS national competitions. And I think my response was that I think it's very important to be crazy enough to start something. Because when we started with aquaponics system in 2017, we had no blueprint. We had no blueprint at all in terms of where we could learn how to do the systems, where we could learn how to run the systems. But it took a leap of faith, and then we started a small system that we had to make sure we need to ensure it works. And when that system worked, that one publication that Ford did saying that we built a system that empowers community, I think it was also my first slide, and that aquaponics systems is empowering communities to address food security, because it was that moment that really attracted us and created credibility. And then that was followed by extensive hard work in building systems, because you need to build a company that has systems. You need to build a company that is credible. When you work with companies, you need to do credible work, and then also they need to see the return on investment. And also getting to work with big companies like Engine Petroleum, working with Richards Bay Minerals, it's really doing the groundwork. It's really delivering on the work as promised, and then also be accountable, because when we did a project with Richards Bay Minerals, we were able to account for every cent that was spent from their CSI to do the project, and that really helped. That really helped to make sure that other sponsors are able to support our initiatives, and that they can see the work that you do. So that's really what has really brought us this far. And we also do a lot of exhibitions. The biggest agricultural conference in Nampo, we're there. Currently in Pretoria at the Global Ministerial Conference. So by really getting ourselves and showcasing our systems and models, it really also attracts us to work with big corporates. But also it's very important to stay compliant, because that's really how the basis of collaboration with big corporates really starts from compliance, and also having systems in place. And also there's a need to have the footprint. They need to see what you've done, the work you've done before, and the impact. Are those projects still operating and running? So that's really what got us this far. Yeah, I'm willing to take more questions.
If you're speaking, you're muted, Rachel.
Oh, sorry. There is a question from Louis. There is a hand from Louis Ngoshi. Please go ahead. Louis Ngoshi.
Thank you. Thank you for the inspirational presentation, Luvo. My name is Louis Ngoshi. I'm from Zimbabwe. My question is, would you say the hydroponics, or both the hydro and aquaponics model, is it possible to commercialize it, or it will be purely dependent on, let's say, development or donor funding in terms of establishment? Is it something that makes sense financially? Like, let's say, for example, the investment you put in, I know you highlighted that initial investment is quite high, and the returns you get from sales of the veggies and fish. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for that question. So it's easy to commercialize the systems, but what's very important is the design element of systems, the systems that we adopt. So in terms of how we develop our systems, of which I'm going to play a small video towards the end, just to show how we design systems in the context of communities and also keeping them low cost. I mean, what we do in our systems is we look into recyclables. One of our systems that we developed, we used recycled IBC tanks that really allowed us to have a yield production. Just to give a practical example, so an IBC tank at that time, it would cost us 800 rands to buy, and then we would cut it in half, and then it gives you two plant beds, and each plant bed can give you about 20 crops inside. I mean, if it's 20 crops inside, it means you have 40 crops in one flow bin that you bought at 800 rands. And 40 of those crops, if it's tomatoes, then if tomatoes yield a kg each, and then you say 20 times 40, already you're breaking even on the actual growing bed itself. And then in terms of how we can design systems that are yet efficient, is that we've integrated different design elements, like we've integrated extensive pond culture system into hydroponics model by doing plumbing around it. And that way you keep it low cost, but also high volumes. I mean, in a pond culture system, you can do about 10,000 units of tilapia. And the cost entry into designing that pond culture system is not really much. And then you can integrate the hydroponics element into it that allows you to leverage and grow crops. So yes, aquaponics systems can be commercialized, but most importantly, what we did was to decentralize the system to speak to the traditions and what people already know, which is either pond culture, and then we either do tank culture in areas where investment is more viable.
Thank you for that question. There is a Stella. Please go ahead. I know you are using Kudakwashe identity. Please go ahead.
I'm using Kudakwashe identity. I don't know.
Yeah, on the text, on the chat box, there are so many Kudakwashes. We asked them to change the name, but they didn't.
I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to change. Okay. So good afternoon. At least I'm in Nairobi, so it's afternoon. How are you? Thank you so much. This is a very interesting presentation. I was just thinking here quietly in terms of the food system, and I wanted to ask, when you do this aquaponics, how does it go with poultry? Do you see, for example, a youth who is doing aquaponics, also doing either poultry? I heard you talking about vegetable. Here from where you stand, in your experience, this goes well with what other value chain that youth do?
Okay. Right. So thank you very much for the question. So aquaponics systems, yes, they do go hand in hand with poultry. So what poultry does is it balances your water contents in terms of nitrates. And then also it balances your water contents, which is very beneficial for the fish. So we've had systems that we had to explore that are looking into integrating poultry and aquaculture. So that really benefits the water contents. That is more ideal for the fish in terms of balancing ammonia and nitrates within those systems. And then also in terms of other vertical integration, so it could be poultry, aquaponic systems, because the water, the solid waste from the poultry, which gets into the water, and then it creates that microbial organism that is beneficial for the fish. And then also that output is going to be very rich when we have the direct output of that into the vegetable side. I think many will know that just poultry waste alone, it's very beneficial for your crops or for vegetables. And then now once you integrate poultry and aquaponics, already you have a nutritional content that would be very beneficial, that is high in nutrients, that would enable for you to grow high quality vegetables. So there are vertical integrations between poultry and aquaponic systems.
Thank you so much, Luvo. There is a question on the chat, a comment and a question. You are doing an incredible job. I may have missed it earlier, but could you share the capital requirements needed to get the setup, as well as an estimate of the ongoing cost to run your current operations? I think there are a number of people that are interested in the capital investment for a basic unit as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I did highlight that when we started the system, we started at 80,000 rands, South African rands, and then we built on that to achieve the system that is currently worth millions right now. But however, if you want to start like a minimum viable aquaponic system, also it will depend on the model that is being adopted. You're speaking about an investment of 100,000 rands going up. That's the minimum viable amount that you can explore. But also it depends on the system itself. So there is integrations of intensive pond culture systems where you would use that and rechannel that into hydroponics outgrowing element. And there are 10 culture systems which are most likely expensive than the pond culture systems. But they are the entry level on that, mentioned starting from the 100,000 rands going up. And it also in other contexts for people who have already existing ponds, it's going to be much less because we've read with the client that said, I have already existing pond, but I really want to integrate the hydroponics element into it. And that was quite cheaper because there's already an existing infrastructure. So the price does always depend on what's already available, what resources are there, and then also which systems that we're going to adopt. So that really what plays around the varying cost of designing aquaponic systems. I mean, for someone who already does fish as a pond, there's always way we can look into integrating the element of hydroponics, and it's a win for them because while they have been growing the fish and understanding the growing of fish, now they have a new element into it, which is a vertical of growing vegetables. In that way, you leveraging dual income, or you're leveraging multiple revenue streams.
There is a hand from Dr. Jen. Please go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time, wherever we are in beautiful Africa. I just want to add to what Luvo has said from the question of poultry. In South Africa, the model mostly of poultry, coop that where we have to feed the fish. We tried, actually at ARC, we had funding from Department of Agriculture, Gauteng Department. And there's also some studies that were done in Limpopo because of the temperature that we have in South Africa, except where Luba is, where, it's warm. The integrated system with chickens is not very conducive in South Africa. So we did some studies at ARC and we concluded, especially in Gauteng, it was not possible because the temperature here, we were looking at tilapia, the temperature here, it's only out of 12 months, it will be 8 months where it's not even conducive. So the integrated system in Kenya could be fine, but we have, in South Africa, we are not really going after that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mary-Jane. There is also a question from Tabaleng. Are the farm visits allowed? If yes, what are the terms and conditions?
Okay. All right. So I just shared my LinkedIn profile for those who are interested to connect. Okay. Yes, we do allow farm visits. You can send us inquiries on either LinkedIn or can request for an email, and then we can set it up. Because what we do is always try to tailor-make our farm experiences. When people are coming through, we've done farm experiences. The people even came and to experience dining of the fish that we produce from the system and the vegetables. So farm visits, yes, they are allowed. You can reach out to us and then we can structure it. And yeah.
Kudakwashe, please go ahead. There's a hand. Kudakwashe, you could be muted. We can't hear you. You're still muted.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Luvo. Mine is not really a question, but actually, thank you for the presentation. It was quite informative, and in the context of Southern Africa, whereby climate is changing, and I think this is the way to go in terms of being climate resilient. And from the model, I've just picked that for the youth in terms of your target, in terms of the value chains that you are integrating with fish farming for the vegetables. Really, there are quick returns there. So for me, it's just a food for thought in a question to say, what if the next big thing in African agribusiness doesn't require hectares of land? Because really we struggle as youth to venture into agribusiness because we say we don't have access to land. But if we are going to just have almost half a hectare where you put your ponds, where you put all the infrastructure that is required for you to raise some vegetables. So it's just an idea in the tank of water, then you can start to grow the business. So really, I think from Luvo, the main question I think which was coming from the floor is to look at the numbers. Let's have sort of a small scale youth farmer maybe who is in Botswana where I am now, and you know it's very dry. In terms of capital investment, how much does he require? Then also you can even calculate in terms of the return on investment over a period and the profitability, and how many value chains that you can integrate so that at least it will cushion the cost for the main enterprise, if you are going for the fish farming. But really it was quite informative, and I hope others have benefited the way that I've also benefited. But the major question, I think it addresses one of the challenge of access to land that we're struggling with within Southern Africa. Yeah.
No,
Thank you so much.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the input. And actually, we are very interested in the Botswana market. We've done some few case studies around one land issue, and then also we've seen some of the lakes that are drying out. We've got data as well from the WWF. So I think one is the land issue. I think already one thing that we guaranteed is that food demand will always be there because of the increase in population size. But however, in terms of land access and availability, there's a lot of challenges there because most of the land is being residentialized. So in terms of aquaponics systems addressing the issue of how do you maximize the small piece of land that we have. So one thing that we looked at as well is vertical models where you use NFT instead of using horizontal systems. So in terms of let's take 100 square meters. So either 400 square meters because that's the size of a tunnel. So what we do is we've done a system where we do like an earth pond culture system. So either your pond would be just a 10 by 5. Constructing a 10 by 5 pond in South African rands, it will cost you less than 15,000, right? But now if you want to put liner, depending on how the water holding capacity of the soil, at some point you might need to have pond liners, and then that's a different context. It's a different case. But let's look at just a pond culture system. If you have a liner, depending on the liner itself, they say to build that cost to say 20,000 South African rands or 30,000 South African rands. You have your pond already done, and then what Only we follow up with that is the environmental compliance. What it will cost us to get um, water use license or clearance from the department, and what will cost us to, I mean, in South Africa to get a fishing permit. I think it costed me 50 rands. That's nothing, right? So those are the things that we look at. So holistically, let's say you need about 50,000 rand to get all that in together on the side of the aquaculture side. And then hydroponic systems, there would be, you need your systems in terms of your piping, your plumbing, and then let's say you budget the 50,000 rand. So let's say holistically at 100,000 rand to build your system. One thing is that if in that system, the pond size that I've mentioned, you're able to do at least about, let's say, 6,000 use of fish, and that's either tilapia. So if after you've harvested 6,000 units of fish, they might give you something around 3.5 to 4,000 tons. No, not 4,000 kgs, right? Then if it's 4,000 kgs, and then you're saying in South African rands, it's 50 rands per kg, already you've broken even in terms of initial investment after your growth cycle. So designing these systems, especially systems that speak into what we traditionally know, be able to keep down the cost low, and then also you tend to get your returns quickly, because now if you did the math, you can say 4,000 kgs, and then you're retailing at 55 rands per kg. That's a rate of about 200,000 rands if you're doing intensive pond culture systems. So you are able to maneuver and design systems. The initial investment was 100,000 rands, but also you're able to see that result. But also it will differ as well based on the system that is being adopted. But in the context of land, these systems are more viable because you can adopt pond culture systems integrating vertical NFT hydroponic systems. So they are really applicable. And I mean, if there is an opportunity after the meeting to really discuss these, we are more than willing to share different models, and because that's what we do. Can share different models and give you the numbers, can give you the initial investment. And the very question that I liked was, what other sectors can we integrate? I mean, what we've done, we've created a supply chain where we put in partners on the retail sector. In terms of buying from the project, we integrated the departments. I mean, in most of our systems, what we did with department was that we were given 30 young people that we trained for 3 months for an accredited program. And those 30 students, they support this system. So what we do is to really integrate, make sure that people are able to run and sustain the system. It's always important to get partners, industry partners, that will ensure traceability of the system, that will ensure continued capacity building in the area of aquaponics system. That's a very, very important question, because for this system to be more sustainable, it's very important to bring in verticals in terms of stakeholders. And then also university as well. I mean, I've benefited from research that is done by universities in one of our systems. And then also that's how we also integrated IoT. I think there was a question on IoT as well. That's because we really value the collaboration that we have with institutions, but we value that because we curate it to be more at commercial level. We don't just do research from the output. We do research based on commercialization in terms of what research outputs can be commercialized to make aquaponic systems more efficient, to make aquaponic systems cheaper and more adaptable in different African contexts. But that was a very, very question, and then also thank you for adding insights in the space. But yeah, we are really keen to talk outside the meetings in terms of our models, and also take our systems to different African countries, because especially those already eat fish.
Thank you very much. I think we should take the last round of questions. There is a question from Kimati. He says that you mentioned that you have integrated IoT and other technologies in the setup. Are these technological solutions available off the shelf, or are they tailored for you? Are there digital linkages to markets of tech and input, or is this off system? That's question one. I don't know if you got it.
Okay, I got question one. I think I got the two questions. I think the last one I missed it a bit.
The second question is, are there digital linkages to markets of tech and input, or is this off system? It's the same person.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to answer the
Can
first
I-
one, but the second one, I think the second one I might need a bit of clarity on it. I think it's just the framing. So in terms of IoT, we've developed our own IoT system from scratch. And the reason we did that because we only curated, I think there is a picture here. Can you see there on the screen? I think but right now, yes, to say there's two things. There is pH and temperature. So what we do is we've designed the systems ourselves because they are critical water parameters that we wanted to look at. And we basically look at what our farmers are most likely to struggle with. I mean, we have sensors that will control your pH with an alarming system. So if the pH either drops or gets too high, I'll get notifications and then I'm able to assist the farmer on the ground. I mean, if same thing with the temperature, and then now we're currently extending the reading units to integrate nitrates, so that we curate our own IoT models. But however, we do help other people who are keen to explore IoT in the space to curate and design IoT specifically for those elements that they want to read. So it's not off the shelf; it's stuff that we curate ourselves. And just to read the most important elements into it. And then the other question around the digital market footprint. I think I did mention in a presentation that we currently going to roll out our first phase of our online market. That's for households. So we do have collaborators already in terms of restaurants and other retail partners that we supply to. But the digital market footprint is specifically for households because we really want to have a structured go-to-market strategy when it comes to supplying households because they have to be in a more structured way. So to control the value chain from the farm logistics and to the households. So that's the only reason we get into the digital footprint of the market, just to capture the households, and we can design logistically how can that delivery be done, because we realize that we want to control the workings at the farm. And then if you control workings at the farm, but yet we want to supply the communities, we need to create a digital footprint that will allow us to take orders and also to document. Because if you go to a funder, the funder needs to understand if you're producing 3 varieties of crops, which one sells the most, where are you selling those, what's the price, and then so the system that is currently going to roll out now in terms of the digital footprint market platform, that's going to do that.
There is also another question on the same. Do you face any market challenges regarding people's perception or needs about hydroponically grown crops compared to soil grown? If yes, how do you address that?
I think that's a very good question. To be quite honest, for me, no. In the context of people wanting to know the difference, we haven't really had a challenge with that. I think the only area that we worked on was the differences. I mean, food security is a big challenge, and in the aspect that I did mention that South Africa, we are food insecure at household level. And what we realize is that many households, they don't really go deep into understanding whether stuff is hydroponically grown or is conventionally grown, hence the price points. So what really people, honestly, working with people, have to realize is that it's only the high-end market that wants to understand the sustainability that these tomatoes are grown from a hydroponic system, which is an environmental friendly system. It's only the high-end market that really looks deep into that, and they're willing to pay the premium. But also when it comes to the lower LSM, they really care about affordability. If it costs you 20 rands to produce your lettuce, they're willing to buy it at the retail price. So it's always about the price points. It's price point sensitive than being how it's grown. Based is it a traditional farming method, or is it aquaponics growing system? So the answer, most of our clients really we haven't really had issues on the perceptions, especially on the crop side. Even on the fish as well, our clientele that we supply, he hasn't really given us a challenge. But what we're doing now, we're expanding the knowledge and understanding. We've done that through different collaborations. I mean, we did a cooking program with one of the universities where we hosted people, and then we're selling tickets for dining experience where people would experience tilapia prepared in different ways by the hospitality students. So in that way, it was just to sensitize the people that this is how you can explore preparing a fish rather than the normal ways of knowing how they can prepare it, but in a way of how can you have different meals with tilapia. So we've explored different models in that aspect, but to answer the question on the perceptions, really, we haven't really have challenges on the perception itself, but the challenges would be people not really willing to pay a premium because it's from the aquaponics system. It's always a price point sensitive.
We'll take last two. What challenges have you faced in integrating technology into your system, especially in areas with limited internet or electricity? And then after that one, we'll take a question from Lungelo, and then we'll go into another session.
Okay. I think to answer that question, I mean, there are communities that you don't have a solution yet, to be quite honest, because the network thing, it is a hindrance. It is a hindrance. So in other communities, most of the systems, they work with, in fact, all the systems that we have designed, they work with solar. One's in Eastern Cape, solar integrated. One's in KZN, that's solar integrated. In terms of electricity and backup, there we covered. And then also that's really what keeps our sensors operating because we have backup power for them. But the only hindrance, the network issue, we haven't really found a solution, especially in areas where network is a big problem. But in the ones that we have deployed the technology, and then also because part of the technology, we rely also on data capturing because the beneficiaries on the ground, we have templates that they need to do the all manual readings. I mean, my IoT does the temperature and does the pH, but also there's hardware that the beneficiaries use to manually test the pH and the temperature to manually do the nitrates. So in case of those who are able to at least control the data capturing and maintain the system of reporting by having to do it manually, and then also to do it via the IoT model. But that's a very important question because network really is a big problem in other areas, but this is how we kind of maneuver around it. But other communities don't really find yet a solution. How can you work around the network issue?
Yeah. Lungelo, I think Lungelo is, I can't see you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Thanks, Luvo, for such an interesting presentation. It's good to see someone from KZN doing very well in this space. I think my question is, I saw that you have plans to expand in other provinces and also in the continent, but I was just curious to understand if you still have plans to expand within KZN, if you have any intentions of expanding in KZN. And if so, yeah, I would like to engage you on that as well. And also, maybe a question not directed to you. I think Mary also spoke about saying that in South Africa there's a challenge of aquaponics for poultry. It doesn't work in South Africa. So what does work, and what should we be doing, or what are some of the developments from a policy perspective in terms of trying to support the different systems, especially maybe for provinces like KZN, or maybe even the Eastern Cape as well, where Luvo is also venturing into. And then also lastly, from a FunPan perspective also, what are some of the policy developments that maybe we need to be aware of in this space that can be able to support entrepreneurs that want to get into the space at a continental level? Thank you.
All right. No, thank you very much for that question. Yes, it's looking, we are keen to expand within KZN. We really want to build more systems in KZN. Yeah, we're keen in that area. And then also in terms of policy advocacy around the space to support young people. Also, we've been fortunate enough that we have partners that really rope us in and invite us in when we have policy discussions. I mean, we partnered with the DFFE, the National Department of Forest and Fisheries and Environment. I mean, all the conferences that we've attended, and they have paid for us to attend those meetings because they value the work that we do in the aquaculture and aquaponics space, especially working with young people. I mean, the one that we attended, what was recent, was the Biodiversity Investment Commission that was held last year by DFFE, and the president was there. And we're looking at policy adjustments in terms of how do we make aquaculture more accessible to our people. In terms of one of the things that we have spoken about was the fragmented departments. I mean, I bet you even right now, if you could call the Department of Agriculture, where also aquaculture fills in, because it's their mandate in KZN is under the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Call an extension officer there and ask them, what do I need to start an aquaculture enterprise? They wouldn't tell you. They wouldn't tell you. But the mandate is under them. So the first thing what was for us was we need to create a model or a portal where applications can be overseen by different departments in one hub. In that way, I can get my EIA, I can get my water use license, and also get my fishing permit in the same portal, but overseen by different departments. In that way, it's streamlined. I mean, when I'm thinking about this, we have system projects that we've been appointed to assist from the ground. We realize the system is already operating, but the water wasn't tested. You realize that they don't have a permit to culture the fish species that they already have in the system, but that project is being supervised by an extension officer from the department. So it's policy making is one of the things that we need to bring in all these stakeholders in one room, have the departments in one room, and we really curate a program, one, to empower each department, because that's where the gap is as well. And then one of the other things is on the species, in terms of which species can be cultured in what provinces, and also because there are species that are regarded as alien invasive species in other provinces, like you can't do Niloticus in KZN, the reason stated, but also those ongoing discussions on how do we best support the industry by adjusting policy making so that it allows the growth and economic opportunities within the industry. I think that's one around the policy making, and also with young people. We've collaborated with either municipalities, being different companies, to really create opportunities for them. And one thing that we're trying to work on now, we want to do a hub where we can allow anyone from any part of the country to access the opportunities, because people want to venture into the space, but the support is not really there. But if we're to curate a hub that will allow people to learn these models and run with them, and also collaboration as well. Because I mean, other things, they're made of research. I mean, South Africa, for example, you realize CSIR has done maybe a research or a program around aquaculture, but you realize that that didn't really filter down to KZN, didn't really filter down to Eastern Cape. So how do we make these platforms, ARC, how do we make these platforms available to people? How do we expand? Because some of the data is there, but people don't really know about it. So that is not accessible, just that people don't know about it. How do we make those things known to people? And also, I love the question around policy making. How do we make people understand that these are the principles of how to get in the industry? This is what needs to be done. And also, how do we encourage the department as well to play its role on the ground to make sure that these things, they filter down to the people that really want to start these projects.
Thank you very much, Luvo. Thank you all for those engaging questions and thoughtful responses. It's very clear aquaponics is opening new doors, and there is also a lot of interest based on the questions that have been asked. For the interest of time, I would like to invite Dr. Mary Jane, who will help us to understand the landscape, its challenges, opportunities, and emerging policy considerations. I saw there was an interest also in policy. So over to you, Dr. Mary Jane. For those of you that have questions, please post them in the chat. We'll compile and post on our website as we always do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for this session. Are you going to show my slide or do you want me to do them?
Do them from your side.
Did I do them from my side?
Yes, please.
Okay. Didn't want to. Please tell me when I am in share. You see again, this is Zoom, not I am used to Teams. The Zoom when I share, where do I share?
Okay, let me share it from my side.
Yes, not to waste time.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, while you are sharing, I can just tell, thank you very much, Fana Pen, for inviting me. And as I was listening, I had a very short time. I made a short presentation, but I saw there's quite a lot of questions that I should have covered in the challenges. But I just want to say, yes, my name is Mary Jane Tayela Chimuka. I am the senior researcher at Agricultural Research Council. I'm actually the founder of the aquaculture unit. And I'm based in Pretoria, but Luba, we have met, we work all over the country. We try and cover. But while you are still showing my presentation, I just want to tell the people of interesting things that are happening for youth. We have got the World Aquaculture Society African chapter, and it was last year, like 2 weeks ago, I think, 3 weeks ago. It was in Uganda, and next year it will be in Tanzania, and the year after in Ghana. So there's opportunities there, there's students, and everybody need to participate. The farmers are, it's no more scientific, it's actually now on the level of farmers, and farmers can also come there, the business people. So I'm just inviting you for that, if I forget to talk about it. Okay, my next slide, please. Yes, I just wanted to introduce the aquaculture in South Africa is infant. And I always say it's infant. This baby has been infant for so long, and I don't know when will he start to grow. And majority of smallholder fish farmers are not profitable because actually it's poor management. And there's a study that was done that in Gauteng, where it was found that small aquaculture farmers lost 70% of their profit due to management practices. Luba talked about it. It's very important. And remember, aquaponics is high technology. It is important. So there is a need for innovation approaches, tools to address these challenges. And in ARC, we are launching many different tools. One of them is apps, but I will talk about that. And next slide, please. I just want to make you aware something very interesting. I came from Ghana last week, and I was attending International Atomic Energy Agency task team, which is very interesting. We were 18 countries. I was representing South Africa, and out of those countries, they are coming up with a very interesting task team to work. They have worked with other with plants and diseases, but now they are concentrating on aquaculture, and it's very interesting. So in the slides here, I want to make you aware of how aquaculture in South Africa, for example, it's still, this slide is slightly from Operation Pakisa, which you remember it was started by President Zuma to speed up aquaculture. 195 operating marine and freshwater aquaculture in the whole of Africa, South Africa. You will see them, and then it's dark points, marine species, and then it's freshwater. Luba talked about that. But what I want to tell you is that just be aware that aquaculture, how they explain whether it's a small scale or bigger is based on the employment of people, how many and how much do you produce annually. And I want to mention again this aquaculture bill. Luba was talking about it, where there is a problem about which is a challenge of water policy. Aquaculture, unlike any other agricultural production, is controlled by many units at the department. So what happened is that it would take, for example, 890 days for you to get the license. And then by the time you get another license, the other one is no more valid. So now they have made one-stop unit, but it's where all these institutions, they sit, and then your application will go there once. But the problem is that it's still nationally, and Luba was talking about, is, you know, the aquaculture is also regulated at the national, depending on what you do, and provincial. For permits, every province has a regulation, and then you will have to do permits, and literally many people are not complying with these permits. But what it is now that they have seen that is very important for food security and poverty alleviation, and to improve rural livelihoods, and to reduce pressure of wild capture, the industry, what they are trying to do is that they are addressing these problems, which is funding, and I congratulate Luba for what he did, because it's a big problem. Suitability of markets, data collection, record keeping, human resource and technical expertise, and legislation. Next slide, please. I just want to now zoom into aquaponics, because we are aware that the advantages, I don't want to repeat what he said, what is the advantage of aquaculture and aquaponics, space and all those double, you know, products. But I just wanted to go into this study that was done by the university, where it was showing aquaponics. It's also old, because I know, you can see that there's Western Cape, there were more aquaponics commercial farms, but now I know it's even more. I think it's about 20 aquaponics farms in Western Cape. But you can see that even in my other former slide, that everything is happening more in Western Cape than up in the country. But you can see that also what is interesting in South Africa is that there is a lot of hobby. People are doing aquaponics as hobby. But I wanted to show you these slides. They could be small. Let's look at the range of aquaponic practices, the experience. When the study was done, you will see that there were how many people, because he just went and he was looking at people and they were answering. But you will see that experienced people, 5 to 10 years, are very less. Everybody's at the start. But that's what it's a good thing, because everybody you are sort of like encouraged to start. But also look at the gender, look at the how this was funded. Self-funded quite a lot. The service provider, the amount 27, and then department, that time was 2. I think it's increasing. But here is showing you also how it is done. Greenhouses, tunnel. The difference is that tunnel is a plastic one. Greenhouse is more a structure that is stronger. But then they will also, on the field is 15 that time when the study was done. And then I'm looking at also hobbies, how many were hobbies, how many were subsistence, and how many were commercial. And this other one, I took it today because it's a youth day to see males and females. Very sad. Females on the sitting here, let's start. There were very few females that time. There were 2, but there were a lot of males. Luba, please come. We want to see females. And then if I look at the age also, there were, you can see 30 to 49 that time were quite a lot. And there were 50 to 69 people retiring less. But the middle one was that the youth, very little. So I would like in the next study that we see more youth here, 18 to 29. And now also what I want to also call about is that we need to see the universities we are doing. I'm also appointed at the University of Witwatersrand, and the students are studying, and we are introducing aquaponics. I know Stellenbosch and few universities. So you can see tertiary, people that studied aquaponics at tertiary, there were quite a lot. Secondary, so we need to have people that continue and study. Next slide, please. But what is interesting is that somebody asked about the market. You know, in South Africa, aquaculture, remember 70% of, in aquaponics, 70% of your income comes from the plants. The fish, it's actually 30%. You know, it depends on how you do it, but mainly. So we tried some studies with a farmer, and we saw it will take you less than 1 month to grow vegetables. So you will have, you know, more vegetables in a year than the fish. That is the interesting part. But you can see that South African market, it's looking very increasing. How South African aquaponics market is expected to reach by 2030, it will reach 17 million. And the growth rate is compounding, it's 9.9. It will be expected by that time. Next slide, please. And it was very interesting here also, where you can see the revenue that was brought. Remember, aquaculture is supposed to bring jobs, and also it's supposed to, the GDP has to increase. And we know that aquaculture in the whole world, except in Africa, we are not doing very well. South Africa, it's even worse than other countries. I think the top one is Egypt, followed, I think, by Nigeria, Ghana, and we are quite low, South Africa. But you can see the revenue that is expected to come, like I said, 2030, the growth will grow by 9.5. The largest segment of the market mainly is selling of equipment. So there is a fastest growing segment in aquaponics is the equipment. Next slide, please. I wanted to talk about challenges, and I grouped them, sorry for a small, into technical, economical, and then regulatory policy challenges and social knowledge barriers. The first one is quality fingerlings. And we are actually at ARC, we have Luba talked about species of fish that are not allowed in different provinces. There is Nile tilapia, which is growing very fast. It's not allowed in 3 provinces, which is Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, and Limpopo. It's because that is the home of our Mozambique tilapia. So people are not allowed to do Nile, and there are studies that were done, risk assessment, and I can say that I don't think KZN will be allowed in the future, because what happened is that there was a study that was done to see whether there is already areas where the Nile tilapia exists. Then if those areas where the Nile tilapia exists, they would be allowed to farm with Nile. But in KZN, in these 3 provinces, I don't think there will be studies that was done, and the results will come. But everybody is still only allowed to do it in recirculating systems, not in ponds. So fingerlings, we have a system that is a SADC level, where we are trying to do genetic improvement. Please, genetic improvement is not genetic, it's not engineering. It's just that you take the fish that is growing fast, and then you make the better fish. So we have a system that will be soon working, and we are going to provide Mozambique tilapia to the whole SADC region. But the other problem is feed. Feed is a big problem, and it's like other animal production is more than 70% of the cost. But the worst is that in South Africa, the big industry like AFCRI and you know, this big that sell for livestock, they don't sell feed for fish because it's a very small industry. There is not a lot of farmers. So we need to have a lot of farmers. I've spoken with AFCRI, but the problem was that there wasn't enough feed. Okay, I see you. I'm on the next slide. I just wanted to go.
It was a mistake.
Okay. I wanted to, yeah, I'll go through them quickly, but I think you're going forward now. Let's go quickly back.
Sorry, let me just.
But I know diseases is a problem because there's a commercial farmer that we work with in Gauteng who said what happened was that, people who do aquaponics, they're excited, like everybody's excited today, but you forget that there's diseases and there's also there's pests. And everybody's excited about fish and they bring fish. And this farmer said he was only woken up when the fish started to die. So you need to know the diseases, but also the pests, because it has to be almost like an organic system. You can't put pesticides in your vegetables because it will kill the fish. So, but then complexity, which has already been said, water quality, disease control, I said. But I want to come to the economic challenges. And Luba has said is a high cost setup, and then there's limited finance, but he has talked about how he broke that. The market uncertainty, but I also you could see that he's trying to beat the market because market is sustainability. I don't think market is a problem. Market is where there is products. When people come, there was a study that was done by IDC. It is not that fish, there's no market for fish, but there's not enough fish farmers to produce fish that can sustainably be available all the time. I want to come to the regulatory where the policy need to really look at lack of clear guidelines. He was talking about, like I was saying, licenses, where the permits are controlled by every province. I've given you an example of Mozambique tilapia. Now we have systems at ARC that we want to give people in KZN and in Gauteng. But the problem is that we need to get permits. But also the problem is that right now, because our system at ARC of selective breeding is not yet ready, we needed to buy quickly fish for our farmers. But the farmers don't comply to the regulations, so we can't buy fish from them. So also, this is something that needs to be clearly done. But remember also aquaponics. While there are these divorces of different departments where there was DFFE, then agriculture went out, there was DALRAD. When they divorce and they marry, aquaponics always had no house because it's not really aquaculture. So, when the funding comes, it's always a problem which department funds them. So this is something that FANAPEN we can work on. And the social problem, lack of awareness, we are not in South Africa, depending on the province, we are not fish-eating people. So, and also people have this perception that a freshwater fish is muddy. And I always wonder, muddy, if it's in tanks like what aquaponics, how can it be muddy? But there was a question here also on perception. People think that freshwater fish is not as the marine one, which is such a perception. But also we know there is a big problem that policy need to, which is traceability, where, people sell fish, you go and buy fish in the restaurant, line fish, and they tell you it's something else while it's something different. So there need to be also awareness and in the policy. Thank you. Yeah, the potential future of what can happen in aquaponics. I think we need to see that there is more research on species and plants that need to be done. Electricity was just mentioned now, and I actually wrote down, which Luba said he really has a problem. Let's look at other renewable energies at ARC. We are trying to look at biogas, which is where you use waste and you can produce out of waste. You can literally even end up with electricity. So we are trying to integrate those things. But let's also look at computer science programs. Luba talked about it. Let's look at also remembering that aquaponics can be introduced as STEM subject, science, technology, engineering, mathematics at schools. I was so happy to hear that he's doing it in schools, where children need to know about aquaponics. I know our president even said it has to be a subject at the high school level. But also design the prototype. I'll show you what we designed, ARC, our system. But on this other side also, I wanted to show you, remember space. As in Gauteng, for example, there's no space like KZN. So we have to come up with, so where to people, if they want food security, it has to be small systems. 60,000 plants can be cultivated in aquaponics compared to, in non-aquaponics, while 345, 600 plants can be planted per hectare if you look at aquaponics. I won't go through these other problems that Lubo has gone about, but also remember aquaponics is opening up for marine species that can be, there's aquaponics that is now, there's even a plant called Saliconia, which can be done in marine. Thank you. We can go to the next one. There's also NASA that wants to use that. Little bit about youth agribusiness funding. There's NYDA program. I just showed, I won't go through. There's support for mentorship. There's IDC youth scheme. Eligibility is there, land bank. There's also CIFA challenge fund, and they those are the amounts that they fund. Next slide, please. Okay, I want to talk about this expandable system that ARC, we are coming back with a model. We designed it with an engineer who is a commercial aquaponic farmer in South Africa, in Gauteng. So this expandable system, we were talking about space now. And remember, in Gauteng, there's no space. So this system, it's about just a little tunnel, and you can see how it is. It's also having a solar heating. And if you look here, there's a tank. This tank is expandable. So the first time you have, you can have fish, you can have a 200,000 tank. You can put 100 fish, which is about 37 kilograms. But what happens is that you can expand and put another ring here, and then keep on until you have 3 rings. And then it has got a flat and drain system, a little one here for fruity plants, because they take too much space. But in here you can grow 194 plants, 192 leafy plants in the deep water system. There you can plant 6 to 8 fruity. When you expand the fish type, you will also expand. So this is the system that we are busy giving in KZN for 2 farmers, I think, and then in Gauteng very soon, few months down the line, in Tshwane and in Western, we are going to roll out this system, because we are trying to look at, like I said, the space as ARC. Next slide, please. I think I'm almost done. Yeah, so what I want to show, this is the system. On the other side, we are also trying to do tools to enhance aquaculture and aquaponics. One of the things that we are doing, we are getting away from when we assess farms, we do platform of digital survey. And then what we are doing is that we have a GIS pond site suitability model. There's a master student that just finished, and we have model where in all over South Africa, you can know whether your area is suitable. We did a potential beneficiary SWOT analysis, because what we have seen is that our government, sometimes they fund people that they are not potential for businesses to be to be working. So in the SWOT analysis, we are looking at those funded people for further to give them aquaponics or to help them, but also for the government to understand what level they are. It's SWOT analysis, so there are those that are They have strengths, there are those that have weaknesses and threat, and then how can they be taken? We are also having a track of vegetable price trends, which students are studying. As I told you, I'm also appointed at VETS, and one of the students is actually sitting here, and her master's is about price trends, and she has very interesting trends where we know which time to follow, where the farmers can have market price. And Lubo was just saying something about spinach, and what we found there also was that the prices are high in winter for spinach and lettuce, I think, but the reason is because there is no, on the land, there's no spinach. So then aquaponics can take advantage of that and grow, and then it means the big producers that time, they are not producing. Yeah, next slide, please. This is an app that we did. So we have an app where there's information about aquaculture, but there's another app which we have also made AgGIS, where now the farmers that we are putting as a model, it's like, I think some of you know, there's a successful program at ARC, which is funded, which is Kanafatso Yadu Homo, where there is data that is collected from different farmers, patterns are followed, and when these patterns are followed, then it helps to do research. So we are trying to do that in aquaculture also. Next slide, please. I think, yeah, this is my last part now for FANAPEN. We are looking into, working into policies with FANAPEN, and like aquaculture is in an infant state, and what we identified is that we need to go through all the provinces, like you were saying, Luba, where we need to see what are the challenges of aquaculture, working together with government departments. So we have a 5-phased work package: compilation of evidence, development of advocacy, and knowledge of products, like we were talking about the knowledge of the products and knowledge of aquaculture. There's a student of mine that is trying to do interventions that should be done in aquaponics. So he will visit you, Luba, to look at all your farmers. What is it that we can do? The aquaponics must be productivity, and there must be income and generation. Why people think that income is profit, but that is two different things. And we have a program that is profit. What can affect profit is the management, is the feeding, it's genetics and all those things, and we connect it with research, and then we try and work together. So the next thing, validity of advocacy, knowledge, products, dissemination to influence policy and practice, monitoring and evaluation. So you can see here that the first part, as I've said, is exhibition aquaculture database on what is ongoing, and then we will have a work plan 2, where under that knowledge development, there is policy briefings, and we will do it in different provinces. And work plan 3, this is where you can see now every province there will be workshop nationally and in every province, and then we will do annual rotation amongst provinces. And in the end, there will be dissemination, like you were saying. We are doing work at ARC. Is it sitting there, CSIR? Where is it going? Universities. So we really are hoping to work with FANAPEN. This is our plan, to come and look at these challenges and work on on policies. Let's, my next slide, please. Yeah, thank you very much. But before I finish, also, I want to say that in the World Aquaculture Society, also we started a network for women leaders in aquaculture. So if women are sitting here, you can join. We started it, we launched it in Uganda, and now it's gonna touch every person. Mentorship, it's gonna be farmers, it's gonna be, so we want to make it, it's gonna be a place where we are giving prices for different prices. So I just want to, if anybody's interested, but I'm inviting you, everybody, you youth, and you can also even win a lot of money if you are students for our next World Aquaculture Association that will be at Tanzania next year in December. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mary Jane, for the wonderful presentation and for effectively tying together the key points Luvo shared in his earlier presentation. And for the interest of time, and before we close, I would like to invite Kuda Kwashe from Agra to offer a few reflections and officially close the meeting. Thank you. Kuda.
You mean Kudakwashe from SADC, eh?
Yes, Kuda Kwashe from SADC. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Rachel. Just some few reflections. Really, I want to thank our presenters. That is Luvo and Dr. Chimuka. Also, would want to thank Agra, still among us, and also Fanapan, and we had a number of youths that are on the platform. We have also some institutions. I see Namibia University is also part of this discussion. Really, the presentation that we got from Luvo, it was quite practical and quite informative as we try to bring solutions to the communities that we work with. And I actually take this opportunity to say for Luvo, I think you've just chronicled his journey as a student, from being a student to a CEO running a company, a successful company that is into hydroponics. So really it's a challenge for other youths also to venture into that space. And from SADC, really, I Kudakwashe, who is leading the youth desk within the region. This platform actually offers an opportunity for us to exchange ideas, but also to enroll some youths who are still in universities to also look at an opportunity to participate in the agribusiness sector. But otherwise, really, I'll close by a food for thought, as I have alluded earlier on, to say you can venture into agribusiness without requirement to have vast land, but just to have an idea in hydroponics and also have a tank of water, then you can venture into this business and also raise some income and also address the issue of food security within the region. Otherwise, thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you, everyone. These are my closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending the webinar, and thank you so much to the speakers. We really appreciate. We do host webinars every month, so we are looking forward to having you in our next webinar. Having said that, enjoy the rest of the week, and yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.